Hello everyone, welcome. Hope you're doing well this Wednesday. It's a beautiful, beautiful day here in San Francisco, and I wanted to jump on here and talk to all of you about another example of anti-conservative censorship, of bigotry. It's upsetting, my friends. It's upsetting. And I know we talk about this from time to time on here. And, you know, the examples of Facebook and Twitter, to a lesser extent YouTube, censorship is extensive. Whether it's Facebook blocking people, usually they put you in jail for 30 days, Twitter's shadow banning, or outright blocking you from their service, or YouTube often uses demonetization, where they no longer allow you to make money off of their videos if they don't like you. So, who is Dumisani Washington, for those of you who don't know? So, Dumisani Washington is a Christian pastor here in California, out of the Stockton area. He's an activist. He works for CUFI, Christians United for Israel, as their diversity outreach chair. He's African American. He talks a lot about minorities, bridging, basically getting, bridging Christians and Jews is his whole ministry. As a pastor and as a representative of CUFI, big part of what he does is reaching out to different minority groups. He wrote a book called Zionism and the Black Church. He does a lot of talking about the Mizrahi, the black Jews of Israel, the colored Jews. I'm not sure if that term is correct, but people who we would look at them and say, oh, they are people of color. The non-European Jews of Israel. He raises a lot of awareness about them, and he's involved with the Mizrahi Project to tell their stories, to destroy the narrative of the Palestinians, saying that Israeli Jews are simply European colonialists. Dumisani has devoted a lot of his life to exposing that. Just Simon, thank you so much for sharing this with your network and blasting this out there. I appreciate that. Now, one of the other things that Dumisani talks about is exposing a lot of, exactly, like Ethiopian Jews, etc. And a lot of what Dumisani does as well is expose a lot of hypocrisy and hate here in the United States, showing a lot of the liberal bias, whether it's going after Black Lives Matter for their anti-Semitism and anti-Judeo-Christian values, or the social justice movement, or the pro-Palestine groups on campus, which a lot of these pro-Palestine groups, by the way, and the Muslim Student Association are funded by Saudi Arabia, by the way. They are funded by other radicalists. These are not just mere, Arabs who, want a free Palestine. No, there's an agenda behind a lot of this campus activism of the pro-Palestine, anti-Israel, pro-BDS movements. A lot of them are funded by Soros. A lot of them are funded by different Arab nations, such as Saudi Arabia. Della Pearl, thank you for sharing this. So, Dumisani talks a lot about that. Now, there's an organization called Canary Mission. I highly suggest you follow them. I've retweeted their stuff periodically, so I highly suggest that you check them out. What Canary Mission does is talks about anti-Semitism on the college campuses primarily, and they expose anti-Semitism and anti-Jewish ideologies as well as actions. And so they will, out people for saying horrible stuff. So they had a post a while back that I remember seeing, where this person who's a leader in student Students for Justice in Palestine, which is not about justice in Palestine. It's about destroying Israel. That's what they exist for. And this leader tweeted out what they thought was a joke. And here is the joke. Where do black Jews sit? That was the joke. Where do black Jews sit? What's the answer? In the back of the oven. Now, that is a despicable joke, if you ask me, my friends. It's poking fun at the American civil rights struggle, at the Jim Crow, and combining that with a Holocaust joke. You're making a laugh and a joke about the Holocaust. You're making a joke about Jewish deaths. You're making light of Jewish death. Exactly. All of you are reacting in similar ways at the sickness, at the despicableness of such a joke. Dumisani posted from Canary Mission the screenshot of that. And he posted it's about throwing the Jews in the sea like Hamas leader said. Exactly. Making light of that kind of thing. And Dumisani said, a one-line comment, Jew haters do not care about the color of the Jew. Because a lot of what he's talking about is he's basically exposing, because, and you've seen this from the marches I've been to and exposing the anti-Jewish hate. The pro-Palestine groups have created this narrative that the Israeli Jews are simply European colonialists, the Ashkenazi Jews. Dumisani does a lot of talk about how Israel is far more than the Ashkenazis, that a huge percentage of Israeli Jews are not from Europe. And even then, side note, Ashkenazi Jews are not true Europeans. When they lived in Europe, they were never viewed as Europeans by their neighbors. And they were persecuted because they weren't European, because they were considered outsiders. But anyway, so Dumisani was using this as an example, saying the anti-Jewish hatred extends far beyond the Ashkenazi Jews. Yeshua Messiah reigns. Thank you for inviting followers. I appreciate that. So he did that. Now what happens? He gets a message from Facebook saying your post has violated our community guidelines against hate. So you are suspended for 30 days. So Dumisani is thrown in Facebook jail for 30 days because he exposed anti-Jewish hate. He exposed anti-Semitism. He exposed a despicable joke. And his post was censored. Meanwhile, Students for Justice in Palestine, they're allowed to continue on Facebook, unchecked. The man who made this, the student who made this horrible, despicable joke, they're allowed to go on. But the one who exposed it is thrown in Facebook jail. Exactly, Simon, for exposing evil. Unbelievable. And I agree with you, Yeshua Messiah reigns. We should not be surprised, but exactly. I'm not surprised. I mean, I was sitting there with my wife today, and just less than an hour ago, and she goes, Dumisani was suspended from Facebook, and he's a personal friend of hers, and so that's how she knew. And my first question was, for what post? I mean, this guy is a man of love. He's a man of integrity. He's a man of balance. He's a man of discipline. He's not a hate-filled mongerer. So I said, what? And she showed me. And I was shocked. I was shocked, but at the same time not shocked. And my reaction was, well, I now have my next Periscope broadcast. Because I need to continue to expose these things. We need to continue to talk about these things and not allow Facebook and Twitter and the other social media companies to do these kind of things unchecked. We need to continue to speak out against hate. We need to continue to speak out against bigotry, against censorship. We need to continue to stand up for free speech, for freedom of all kinds. We need to be able to do so. We're at war, my friends. We're at war. There is a cultural revolution being raged right now. There's a cultural revolution being waged. And we need to stand up. We need to resist this resistance. We need to resist the anti-Judeo-Christian attacks. We need to stand up, my friends, against this kind of hate. We need to, my friends. We need to. Twitter friend of yours was suspended from Facebook for quoting a Bible verse from Isaiah. Yeah, I mean, this stuff is like getting more and more ridiculous. People can post the F-bombs galore and threaten death against the president, and they're allowed to stay on. But, you speak something politically incorrect, and you're destroyed. It is ridiculous. It is horrible. Right. So, we need an equal level playing field. We need an equal level playing field. If those kind of horrible jokes are allowed, then we should be able to talk about them. It's like people who've been suspended from Facebook for reposting screenshots of the hate speech that they were directed against. So they were suspended. So it's like basically they get hate speech, thrown at them, and then they post the screenshots of that hate speech. The person who unleashed it against them was not suspended, but the person who was the victim of the hate speech, the victim of the harassment, was suspended for talking about it. For the questions, no, I'm not a liberal. I am a conservative. No, I'm not Jewish. No, I'm not gay. Thank you for being interested in it, though. So, and if you listen to my periscopes, you'll realize that I'm not at all liberal. Am I liberal in the classical sense? Perhaps. Our founding fathers were classical liberals. In that sense, I am. In the modern sense of the term, I am a staunch conservative with libertarian leanings. So, anyway, that's it, my friends. We need to continue on, and we can stand up to free. You see, free speech doesn't mean that you allow everything to endure. So, free speech just means that I can talk, I can say anything on my mind. But it also means that other people can confront me on that. So, free speech, for instance, I'm going to use what do I do for work? I work in the financial services industry. So, for example, and thank you, I appreciate the compliments there. So, for example, Kathy Griffin posted a picture of her holding a decapitated head of Trump. Okay? That's free speech. She's allowed to do that. Now, I think it's violence. I think she was using ISIS. Della Pearl, I'm sorry about that. She was, she was using ISIS imagery, terrorist imagery. But I think she's, allowed to do that. Now, I think a platform can say that is a hate speech. I agree. Violence is not free speech. She can use that imagery. Now, we can, and maybe she went beyond the bounds of free speech, perhaps, okay? But I'm just using this as an example. We are then rightfully in the right to condemn it. And we can then come out against her hate speech. No, I'm not going to go into details about my job. I work in the banking sector. That's all the details I'm going to give. And so we can then condemn it. We can protest her. So, for example, she's coming for a comic show in San Francisco. I have to move. My little one is waking up. She wants to be on the move. But so she's coming to San Francisco for a stand-up comedy show, or so she calls it. So some of us conservatives are going to be out there protesting. So stay tuned on Friday, because Lord willing, if I'm able to be out there, I will be out there waving a Trump flag in front of the Masonic Center here on Nob Hill in San Francisco. Thank you. I appreciate that. And so I'm going to be doing that. Why? Because she spoke hate. And we have the right to speak out against her hate. We have the right to do that. So anyway, that's about it, my friends. I'm going to wrap this up right now. I appreciate all of you for tuning in. We need to continue to confront this kind of hate speech. We need to continue to stand up for righteousness. We need to continue to stand up for truth. We need to continue to shine light into the darkness. Because when we shine the light into the darkness will flee before us. So I appreciate all of you for standing with me in this fight. And I'm just really thankful for all of you and all of your support. So stay tuned. Follow me on here if you're not already following me. That way you can be notified when I go live. I will be talking on here again a little bit later over a couple other topics. So God bless all of you, and I'll see all of you again very soon. God bless.